What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to WAEofFishing. I'm out here in the garage. I'm still working on my tiny boat, my John boat, or my John boat to bass boat, or whatever hashtag you want to follow. And right now I want to break from all the cutting. I've got all the decks cut and I just need to get the carpet gaps done and some reinforcement pieces cut, and I'm ready to go seal. But I spend so much time on each step, I'm ready for a different step. So tonight, what we're actually going to try to do is restore my trolling motor. This is the pedal. I'm going to start with the pedal first. I've had this motor, gosh, 13 years, 15 years, something, a very long time. This trolling motor works wonderful. It is still rock solid, still gets the job done. But I figure as I'm working on this boat and I'm refreshing everything in the boat, I don't want the sun-faded, really tired-looking trolling motor sitting against my brand new fresh carpet. So I have no idea if this is going to work, but we're going to paint this without screwing up the electronics. So the plan is to paint it with truck bed liner. I figured regular spray paint would come off, but truck bed coating at the very least should stand up to my foot. You know, I'm not hitting it with metal or spikes. I'm not loading gravel on it, but I'm just stepping on it. So I figured that's the best option of what I have. So this is Rust-Oleum truck bed coating. I was actually going to go with Raptor liner, but harder to get. And for what I'm doing right now, I don't really think that's necessary. I've got some clear. That's not for the pedal or the truck bed. That's for another part. That's for the base. The base is over here. We're going to be painting that too. I've got some high performance enamel Rust-Oleum professional black. Again, that's for the base and the mount, which is also very ashy and faded and got some algae on it. Universal bonding primer. This is plastic or fiberglass or something, and I shouldn't really need to score it because it's really rough. It's not slick. So, but I'm gonna spray it with this just to give my truck bed coating every chance it can to bond to this. And then the red, I want to put some red accents on this motor and the pedal. Again, I'm just trying to spruce this up. Is it necessary? Nope. It's just one of those over-the-top things I want to do on this boat. So I went to Lowe's and I picked up all this nice, wonderful paint. And what I've done, I'm working out of my garage, and it was 18 degrees last night. So I've got a big old kerosene heater that I keep on high. And that's been running in here for about an hour and a half just to try to bring up the ambient temperature of the garage. And I've got a heat gun where I've been actually applying direct heat to my materials just to bring their temperature up a little bit faster than just the room. So it's my little El Cheapo Ace Hardware heat gun. Not the best, certainly not the best cord. And so that's what we're doing. So right now I'm going to, this is regular acetone from the dollar store for removing fingernail polish. It's 100% acetone though. I've got some real acetone somewhere that I had been wiping the boat down with because I couldn't get the scum from around the rivets, even with soap and a brush and a degreaser. So I've been wiping around the rivets with acetone. Makes your hands super cold. But we're going to use this and a little brush and a microfiber cloth to prep this surface. Then we're going to dry it off with the heat gun, and then we're going to paint it. Before I do any painting, I'm going to cut off the heat source. I don't want paint fumes floating around the garage and exploding me. So, because that is an open flame heater. But I'm going to clean this. Got a little scrub brush. This is some old carpet. A little scrub brush for getting in the nooks and the crannies. I'll tell y'all why I have fingernail polish remover in a second. Man, there's like some algae growing on this. Ultimate paint prep. Fingernail polish remover. Definitely not the ideal situation for painting, but it's wintertime and I'm in my garage, and like many of you, I'm just doing the best I can. I'm gonna have to tape some of this off. Like, I'm really concerned about getting bedliner spray inside of here where the pedal goes in that mechanism. I might actually just try to shove a piece of cardboard in there. Kind of like that. That kind of worked. shucky ducky. It's kind of what it looks like. I stuffed the cardboard around the, on the Motorguides, there's a dial you turn to crank up the speed. I stuffed cardboard around the dial. I stuffed cardboard in where you read the dial. And then there's a switch for constant on or interrupt. I stuffed cardboard in there. Where it says Motorguide, that'll be red. And then the rest of the pedal will be black Bedliner. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint this with primer, then tape that off, and then paint the rest of it black. I probably need to address this underside here just to make sure I don't get any. That's not gonna work. But I might be okay as long as I don't paint up into the mechanism. And this is universal bonding primer. This is the closest thing to an adhesion promoter that I could find. And now we just wait for it to dry. I am gonna, while that's drying, I'm gonna start prepping the base for the trolling motor. So I just wrapped the foam around wrap the sandpaper around the foam, and I'm just gonna hit everything lightly with this. Then I'm gonna come back and acetone wipe it. Since I am in the garage enclosed, I keep ventilating, putting up the garage door. I've got a 4-inch gap under the door right now with a fan going, but instead of constantly putting the door up, I just decided to get my breather. So I probably won't do much commentating as I do forward. I'll just put some stuff up on the screen, but I'm gonna go ahead and spray these logos. It is the next day. I still have some painting to do. I'm gonna show you guys what I did. So I finished the pedal. I've got one spot left to do on my, oops, knocked my paint over, on my trolling motor pedal. But let's take a look at it. That Bedliner is, I mean, it did the job. I decided to take the red off, and that's kind of what I have to do because I really just did not like the red. But I don't know if the GoPro will pick it up. It's got really good texture to it. It's super black. It looks like a brand new pedal. I mean, it's great. You can see right here where some of the red is still coming through. I've got to cover that. And there's a little bit of red showing up here. Nobody will see it but me. I'll know it's there. But the shoving the cardboard in there worked really well. And the texture there, you can get a good shot of the texture. It's a Rust-Oleum Bedliner and adhesion promoting primer, and that's just really, really pretty looking. I did paint on the cables to cover up the primer. You won't really tell it's there, but I mean, that just looks great. I'm super pleased with how that came out. Then over here, you've got the trolling motor tray. I said I did that red, and then you see the blue painter's tape actually masked over the red, and I cut the lettering out to cover it. And then this whole piece will be black. And then the Motorguide lettering will be red. And then I'll hit it with some clear to gloss it up a little bit. I'm really, the more I paint it, I'm really not a fan of the red, but I already did it. So it is what it is. One thing that I'm going to try to do today, the fumes got in the house, and it really, my wife has a very sensitive nose. She's like superhuman, so she could really smell it. So I'm trying to ventilate. I was opening and closing the garage, but I do have to keep the garage temperature up because I'm painting. So I kind of jury-rigged this. I'm gonna show y'all. This is my shop vac. So my shop vac converts to a blower, like an electric leaf blower. So what I did was I've got it set up in blower mode. I hooked the pipes to it, and then I painter's taped the hose to it. And then the hose is running down in between two pieces of foam and out the garage door. So my hope is that when I cut this on, this is the vac part, this is where it pulls air, that it'll pull a lot of the fumes out. This blows at like 200 miles an hour. So it should pull a good volume of air out of this space right here where I'm painting, and at least limit the fumes coming into the house. What the paint looks like. I've got one coat on the trolling motor housing on like the bracket. So that's one full coat of Rust-Oleum professional high performance enamel. I'm actually really pleased on how that's coming out. I stuck the wood in there because I felt like if I let that spring, if I let the paint dry with the spring collapse, that would cause me an issue. So I stretched the spring by jamming some scrap plywood in there. And so that'll dry in the spring because I got overspray on it. But I sprayed stuff I didn't need to spray because I didn't want to miss any cracks. But that's pretty good. And this, let me see if I can get the camera closer. That's actually got two coats on it. It's nice and glossy, really shiny. Two coats on that one. Those letters are red underneath. I'm gonna pick the tape off once that paint cures because that one has two coats. And then I'm gonna clear that whole thing. But I mean, I'm pretty good with the sheen level. The gloss on that is beautiful. This is still really wet. Paint kind of settled in the dips, but that hopefully will cure by tomorrow. Last thing I want to show y'all is my ventilation system worked. So if you look at the bottom of my shop vac, that's actually overspray black paint where it actually did pull the paint out of the room with the fumes. So it did tremendously cut down on the paint fumes I was dealing with today. I don't care that I got paint on the shop vac. That's really not a concern. I could have put a filter in front of it, but I don't care. So not a big deal to me. It worked. Sent that air right out the garage door. You can see if you can see down there. Right there in between those two blocks of foam, I've got the hose venting out the garage. So the foam is just protecting the hose from getting crushed by the garage door. But I went out there and it's really blowing air. I put my hand in front of it and it's pumping. Okay, guys, I'm done. I didn't record the successive coats and the clear coat that I did on this. I actually had a little bit of light today, and here in Richmond, it was above 60. So close to 70, which is ideal temperatures for painting. This is light years ahead of where it was. I'm so pleased. It's tremendously better than what it was. So You guys already saw the foot pedal done with the truck bed liner. I'm not a big fan of the red, but it's on there. There's a spot on here where I tried to paint over the red because I had this Motorguide red and I didn't really like it, and the paint didn't adhere as well. The trolling motor was in very rough shape cosmetically. It is, I mean, look at it just glisten. It's got that nice sheen to it. I mean, it looks, I'm really pleased with how this came out. It looks, I haven't actually put this on yet. You guys are seeing that for the first time with me. I haven't actually seen that. It's actually not that bad. It's not that bad. I'm okay with it, okay? It's gonna pop. When I'm filming, I'm on the boat, you're gonna see the Motorguide. Okay, it's enough for the side project. I need to get back to the deck, but I wanted to finish this video. I'm done working for the night. I'm tired, I'm sleepy. I gotta get to work in the morning, but I'm getting a little antsy. The frogs are going behind the house right now. My goal was to finish this by March so that I wouldn't miss that spring run of ring perch and crappie and bass and everything, but the frogs are going. I saw some bugs today. There's spider webs popping up. So the countdown, like the clock is ticking. It's running to 0. So I've got a lot of ground to make up on this boat if I'm gonna get there. So just keep it moving. I got a lot still to do, a lot. It's not needed to fish, but I got a lot of stuff I wanna do in this boat. So thanks for watching. More videos to come. Appreciate y'all. I'm out, I'm going to bed. I was camping and it was very, very wet. And I couldn't get any fires to start. If I got it to start, I couldn't build any heat because the ground underneath the fire was so wet, it was just steaming, and my fires were just being limited just because of the wetness of the area. So I got in the truck and I left where we were camping, drove about 30 minutes to the only store I could find, which was a Dollar General. And I was looking for fire material. And I used to be a pyro when I was a kid. I used to burn all kinds of everything. And asked the guy at the store, I said, where can I get some charcoal from? And this dude said, you might have to go back to Richmond for that. I'm like, hold on. Wherever I was, there was nowhere to buy charcoal. There was no Kingsford, nothing. I'm like, go all the way back to Richmond? Nah. So I just started walking around the Dollar General looking for something I could burn. And I stumbled across the beauty and makeup aisle that was on the bottom shelf. And I said, oh, I remember, I could burn that. So I bought a bottle of acetone and went back to the campsite. And if you've ever seen Eddie Murphy and Aunt Bunny and Brontosaurus burgers, you know what I'm talking about when I tell you that that's a fire. That thing, woo, she whooshed, woof. Probably everybody near me could hear that thing light up, but I got a fire going.